Ladies and gentlemen, Connor Daly here with the Speed Street Podcast. Chase Holden also joins me. We have a very, very important emergency announcement to make. Very, very exciting announcement to make, but we wanted to get this on the show. We wanted to release this before Christmas. Everyone needs to hear it. We will officially, finally be an official Indycar podcast again because I will be participating in the NTT Indycar Series once again next year in the 2025 season. Yes, you heard that right. The season for JHR, Hugo Hollinger Racing. I am very excited. Let's go. We're back. Hey, we're back. We're back.
I was just waiting to holler. Like, I was waiting to holler.
Woo,
you know.
Yep.
It's an
we are
exciting
finally
day.
back. Goodness gracious, it feels good to share it with all of you folks. We wanted to make sure that we talked about it. We wanted to make sure that, hey, this announcement was timed correctly for our show because it's my announcement and I have a show. My show is here with Chase, and we wanted to have an emergency press conference, get it out before Christmas. It has obviously taken a long time. Now there's if you listen to our show last week too, you might have thought the sky was falling down. But I can't just get on my show and say, well, there's a contract in front of me. We'd like to sign it. You know what I mean? And we're working through things. This stuff is hard. And, we're not going to announce like our partners at this time. We're not going to announce who is behind this, because obviously there's a financial element. We've been talking about that for months now, right? We had to raise money. We still have to raise money as well. We are still working on these things. But JHR, Ricardo and Brad had enough confidence to go ahead and move forward with the signing of myself. They believe in me. And also my ability to bring partners to the table, which I'm very thankful for. Now, this is there's a lot that has gone on behind the scenes that, again, I can't really share everything with everyone. But there's still a lot of work ahead for myself and my team, as in just being as in me and my manager Andrew. But this was the only shot that I had. This was the best shot that I could have. And either way, it's even though it might, I'm still in a bit of a tougher spot. There is no better spot to be in than to at least have a chance to race. So we are thrilled. I am extremely excited.
Yes.
This show is officially an IndyCar podcast again, even though it was last year.
I think we've always been, though. I think it's always been kind of an official IndyCar podcast.
Of course. No, we this is an IndyCar program, but I did some NASCAR racing last year. So now we can focus solely on just doing all the IndyCar motor races.
Drivers drive.
So it's a great situation. And I believe, I'm not sure what, we don't want to announce. I don't know if they're going to announce. Look, we're recording this at 7 in the morning. It's 6 a.m. for Chase on a Tuesday because I got to go to Ohio today with my lady. And there's all kinds of Christmas things happening. We couldn't have made it a later announcement before Christmas, really. I mean, I guess we could have waited till like next week, but that's kind of wild. Yeah. So we wanted to get this out there. And, there's like, what car number are we going to be? I'll leave that to the team. We're going to announce, there's going to be more and more details as we go. But, the contract is signed. We are out into the exciting world of announcements. And Wednesday, which obviously when this show releases, this announcement will go out timed with whatever the press release goes out. So with that, I will open up to questions. In our Speed Street official press conference. Chase, feel free to enter the question phase of the press conference.
I'm going to put these on because I feel more official to asking questions.
Absolutely.
Connor, this is a big day. This is something we've been waiting on for a long time. We've been talking a lot about, the business of motorsports. We've been talking about what it takes to get a seat in Indycar. Walk us through the last 3 months, Connor. Tell us a little bit about how this has affected you emotionally, physically, and what it took for you to get to this moment today.
Well, that's a great question because the last 3 months, as soon as basically Nashville ended, my goal was to be back with this team. Obviously, I mean, we had such an amazing run for such a short. I mean, all of that happened in a month's time, essentially. Like the end of July to the beginning of September was Nashville. So we were obviously aware that, hey, the team wants me back. But we need a certain amount of funding, right? And everyone does. I mean, these teams, except for Penske and Ganassi, one seat at Ganassi, or maybe one seat at Ganassi doesn't need funding. So it's very hard to figure out, okay, is the team going to be able to, raise the money for the driver? And if so, are they going to select me? And, we had kind of thought early on, okay, Ricardo's always been very honest with me. And there was definitely an interest in having me there. And if anything, a lot of interest and the most interest. But think of who all else was out there, right? Stingray was out there, and he had a lot of funding behind him, and that's good. There was a lot of other drivers. I mean, even some Formula One drivers entered the conversation, and Romain Grosjean, my teammate, one thing I would say about him is I am definitely a little bit sad that I won't be teammates with him because he was very fast. And having a very fast teammate, I think, was very good. But, it did become a bit of a shootout, sort of, between, him and I to get the final seat. But this business is very difficult. And, I'm glad, Romain has a great sports car program with Lamborghini that he's involved in, which is really good. But it has been a roller coaster because at times it's like, man, I think we've got some people that are involved, but I don't really know. And when you think you have sponsors and partners, you can't get excited about it until they're done, right? We thought we for sure had, because everyone at first, let me tell you how the conversation goes. If you meet someone, you're like, oh, we got a guy that we think can sponsor you, or we've got a group that, can absolutely sponsor you. And the first conversation, I even had a conversation with a guy at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I was like, in passing, you're like, oh, a guy who knew of me, wanted a picture and said hello. And he asked, oh, are you going to be an IndyCar next year? And I'm like, well, we're probably $1 million or so short. And his buddy was like, well, I got $1 million for you. And I was like, is that right?
Nice.
And he's like, oh yeah, here's my card, send me a message. And of course, what do? Well, we send him a message as soon as we get back. Like, hey man, here's, we'd love to have you on board this year. Here's the levels of partnerships. And, it goes from, all right, I'll pass it on to my team. So whenever you get that message of I'll pass your proposal on to my team, well, you never hear back from them because no one responds to a racing proposal. So unless they actually know racing. So unless you have the CEO or the founder of the company directly telling the team to be into this, you never get a response. And this is just normal. So it's like you go through all those things. You go through people saying like, oh yeah, we can definitely support. And they're like, well, after we thought about it, or maybe they've had a cocktail or two. And they're like, oh yeah, we'd love to be involved. That'd be really awesome. It'd be amazing. Because on the emotional side, it is very fun to support a race team. But as we've mentioned, it's still a tough sell, and we got to make it more so. So I've been all over the place. I've been, honestly, I haven't been able to sleep a lot because it's just, this is my entire life. I'm either in or I'm out. And my only job is podcaster, which again is fine. I don't mind that.
It's just,
but it doesn't make me a lot of money. So I have to figure out a way to, nor will being a race car driver this year, but we hope to, raise enough money and continue to raise the money. So, the driver also gets, a fair share of what's going on. But It has been a tough one. It has been, without a doubt, one of the toughest off seasons ever because, again, I have wanted to be back in the seat. This has been the most exciting opportunity that I've had in a very long time. So here we are.
I love to hear that. And I mean, from your response there, this next question may be something that you were or weren't thinking about, but I have to ask regardless. Now that you know that you have a seat secured with Ingos Hollinger, have you thought much about your goals for 2025 and what you want to bring to the table for this upcoming season, which we've talked about is probably going to be one of the bigger seasons? There's a lot that's happening with the new Fox deal, a lot that's happening just in IndyCar on socials. We just had a guy bring a sign to a Seattle Seahawks game and get on national television.
Big.
So it's safe to say the popularity is growing. What do you look to do differently going into 2025 than you have done maybe in years past?
Well, I think, first of all, it's, make it to May in a strong position in the points. I think a lot of people immediately, like the non-racing knowers or the people that haven't really seen how, bad my situation was at ECR for so long, with the car and what I was dealing with. They're like, oh, well, not a road course guy. It's like, okay. Yeah, fair. Other than the fact that, we finished 5th at the Indy GP in the rain and, stuff like that, no big deal. My highest finishing result in IndyCar is on a street course. But, obviously lately I struggled in the ECR car. Absolutely. At the road courses, a lot of the road courses. But I think there was also way more to that than people knew about. And again, I will continue to have to prove to a lot of those people that, hey, the road and street courses, we can still be in the top 10. We can still be fighting at the front. But, that's going to be a learning experience for me, right? A lot of us, well, everyone hasn't, used the hybrid yet at St. Pete and basically the pre-Indy 500 races. We're going to go to thermal and race, which is going to be probably not a great race, unless they do something with the tire deg. Tire deg in the Expedition thing was kind of exciting last year, so we'll see what happens there. But it's basically just get a solid first few races out of the way. We will not get a lot of testing, which is a real shame, but get into it strong and then get to the Indy 500, because again, they actually had fast cars at the Indy 500 last year. I don't know if we remember, but Augustine Canapino was on a qualifying run that would have been in the top 12 until he had the issue that a lot of the Chevys had with the overboost, or the plenum events. So it was very encouraging to see that. And I've obviously got to test their Indy 500 car already in October. We talked about that on the show. So there's a lot I look forward to. Of course, I can say the short ovals are first what I'm excited about because we had such a strong run at them last year. But those are at the end of the season, so we got to make it there first. And then then we'll see. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm not going to set any expectations for myself other than we have to do the best job, or else my IndyCar career. Like, this is the back half of my IndyCar career, as I know. So we want to go out and do everything possible because realistically, this could be closing in on one of my last seasons, which I obviously hope not. But if we go out and win the first 5 races, then you're probably locked in for a very long time. So we'll see. I would like to be here and at this team for a very long time and continue to help them grow, but have to aim high, but have to also be reasonable about, hey, this team's still growing. We're still growing in general. Their best result so far at a road and street course has been 4th. So let's try to get them on the podium at a road and street course and go from there.
Like that. You talk about teams. Your teammate will be someone that we have talked a lot about on this podcast, specifically him and maybe a circulation program. Stingray Robb is going to be your teammate. And I have to ask, how do you see that relationship growing as the season begins, how do you plan? Do you plan to initiate a conversation with him, to speak with him, and how do you plan on working together with him and the team in order to generate the best results week in and week out?
Well, that's a great question, Chase, because as you know, we've said some things about Stingray on this show, and again, never about him as a person. Great person. We've always said it. Stingray could not be a nicer guy. Great family, incredible family, wonderful wife now, very wonderful, like couldn't be more
name,
wonderful people.
honestly. Fantastic name.
Coolest name. But I've obviously kind of said, and I think people kind of know that, he's struggled in the series. Now, I'm just going to get out in front of it, though. I spoke with Stingray a little bit at the JHR Christmas party a couple weeks ago. And, we did not know what was going to happen yet. So I obviously could not necessarily say, hey, man, like I look forward to being your teammate. But, had some conversations with him, chatted about a few things, but not really a ton of talk yet. But I plan on getting right out in front of it with him as soon as I see. I haven't seen him like at the shop or anything yet because I've been working on trying to get this contract and our whole deal done. But I plan on getting out in front of it. I am sure, because most drivers, like if most drivers have probably heard any crap that I've talked about them on the show or any things I've said, because everyone listens to that stuff. We all see all the hatred. As much as people are like, well, don't look at it, don't do that. It's like everyone sees it. You're going to see it. You're going to listen to it because you're like, bulletin board material, right? So there's some bulletin board material for some people. Some people, there's so much that it really turns their brain into mush. But
it's like a web.
Exactly. So I'm going to get out in front of it with him and be like, look, Stingray, and I will have this conversation directly with his face because this is a listenable podcast. You can actually listen to this and watch it on the YouTubes. But I plan on having this conversation with him, and I'm not going to share everyone, what this conversation will be like. But I plan on like, hey, we've probably said some not really great things about your career, Stingray, and I want to get out in front of it now because again, we are teammates. I'm going to do my best to help you. We should be doing our best to help each other because we both want to be successful. So hey, why not? Maybe this year's Stingray's bounce through the ceiling year. You know what I mean?
It could happen.
Why not? And I'm going to be supportive of him because you have to be, right? I even said that, even if I was teammates with Santino, right, you would have to be teammates with that person. And the job is bigger than how you feel anyway, right? Like it doesn't matter how you feel about who the person is or whatever
Absolutely.
it is. I think, some people are easier to work with than others. And I'm sure Stingray will be easy to work with. We don't know yet, but like great person, very nice guy. And so I'm going to have this conversation with him and I'm going to tell him like, I might have not said some savory things about the way you pilot a vehicle. So let's get out in front of it. I'm sorry for saying those things. You've probably heard them. And we know that in the back of your mind, you're probably like, this guy sucks, but now we're teammates. So let's work. And I feel like, we'll see how that goes. But Stingray and I are teammates. I honestly never thought it would happen in my life, but here we are, and we've got a great new era in front of us with the Juncos Hollinger Racing Squad, and it should be great. Two Americans, we got an American Dream Team here.
Two red, white, and blue boys, dude.
No one ever knew that would be together.
There it is. I think it's going to be good. I think there's going to be a lot more love for Stingray out there this year. And I know obviously there's a lot that Stingray could learn from you and your experience in the series. So that's going to be good to see. I wanted to go back. One other question that I had was obviously about one of the biggest races. It's not the biggest race in the world, the Indianapolis 500. You talked a little bit about Juncos Hollinger, having a decent program. Have you had any conversations with the team, and what do you think that you could bring to the table that they don't already possess at Juncos Hollinger?
Well, I've got a lot of experience now at this event, and it is for sure the highlight that we look forward to. There's a lot of chatter already about preparing for the Indy 500. There's a lot of things that go on in the race shop over this off season that help for the Indy 500, and I think I can bring a lot of experience to this team. You know what I mean? They we kind of talked about it around the test, but they have not ever had like an oval guy in the car. So when you get to the 500. they've had Grosjean, Canapino, Callum Ilott, guys that haven't really been oval, like they haven't had oval experience, and I've had quite a lot, and I've run at the front at a lot of Indy 500s now with multiple different teams, 3 different teams. So I think that will be good to just get into the month of May with them. Let's get things going. I think procedurally, we'll have to see how a lot of teams go into the month of May kind of with the same strategy. Like, all right, we can't run too much on one day of practice. We got to make sure we save our tires. We got to make sure we, get through, let's do race running before we get to Q sims, qualifying sims. And so, it'll take a little bit of time to get used to the procedures. But I believe that the experience that I have, I believe that they trust me as well. I think that's important. I think the trust has to be there for what I'm telling them that I need out of the car. And we've also got, again, the Indy Open test in April, which I think will be super helpful to do. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. They had a lot of speed there last year. There's no doubt about it. They've added some technical folks to the team. David Brown, Will Phillips. Will Phillips I've worked with before. So some smart people. They've tried to prepare the team as much as possible for success. So I think we have to be excited.
Where are we at now that Juncos Hollander seats are filled? Connor Daly, Stingray Robb. What teams still have open seats available? Where are we at in seat watch of IndyCar?
Yeah, good question. So with that, I mean, essentially the 2 Dale Coyne Racing seats remain. So that is the official 2 final seats. And, in Dale's history, those seats might not get filled until 1 week before the season.
Yeah.
Who knows? I believe that I think they'll have some sort of an idea earlier. I'm not entirely sure. We've got, does Romain Grosjean end up there? Does Rinus VeeKay end up there? Who's got the budget? At the end of the day, I kind of have known how much budget people have had because, JHR does need budget, some funding behind a driver. And, part of the reason why I got this seat is because I have a couple partners, I believe, and we hope we get a few more, but not a lot of other people actually do have real money behind them. So that's why you see it take so long. Guys, it's not easy to do this. You can't just why is it taking so long to sign? Because you can't sign someone on hopes and dreams. Like you can't sign someone with no money. So you have to figure out how you're going to support your drivers or how the drivers are going to support themselves. So we'll see. Some of these drivers out there, maybe they'll get through the Christmas season and maybe Santa brought them a sponsor. I don't know. Maybe Santa's out there handing out multi-year contracts with Diet Mountain Dew. I'm not sure. Maybe who knows? We'll see. But it's those are the 2 final seats. But I'm excited. I think there hasn't really been to go to our actual podcast version of the show. There really hasn't been a ton of news recently in the IndyCar realm. So we're not missing much. This hopefully is the news that kind of sets off the last week before we get into the Christmas holiday. But we're very excited. I'm very excited, and I wanted everyone to know this. It's been up and down messages, and there's still going to be a lot of work ahead of us. Like, I can't stress that enough. There's a lot of work in front of me and my manager personally, and do not hesitate to continue to say, hey, Connor, I might have a company or a group of people that might want to be involved in the NTT IndyCar series, because we would like to bring them on board. So
if you got $1 million in your pocket, bring it.
If you got an extra $1 million that's burning a hole, it's like, man, I hate that I've got this in my pocket. You gotta let us know. So, but as would anyone, but I'm going to fight for all these situations. So we appreciate everyone, appreciate the support. Brad Hollinger as well, great guy, and great to have his support in the team. So All right, folks. Well, welcome back to the show. A quick pause we took, which was the day. We recorded the start of this show at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. for Chase. And we obviously, as things go during the day, maybe we were a little foggy in the morning and we needed to let some news happen. We need to let some cool articles come out. Although we are, obviously very excited about my news. Can't wait. I'm going to write a book someday about all that goes on behind the scenes, because if you guys knew what went on, it might blow your mind. But overall, very excited about what we have going on. A lot of work ahead, focused on being a race car driver who's probably sells every inch of his helmet and suit and everything, because we're a business at the same time. But let's talk about Chase really quick. A couple things that were released today, some merch numbers. I thought this was very cool. We don't talk about like merch very often, because I would say in IndyCar, my personal experience, I always like to be very honest with people. You don't make your money in merch. And a lot of people ask, where are the t-shirts? Where are the t-shirts? Well, it costs money to make those t-shirts. And I'll be honest with people. When you look at the numbers, obviously Pato's number one. Chase, I mean, was that surprising to you at all? The only thing I see in the world, Pato has his own shop, and also, he kills it with the IndyCar merch. I believe this number was just from IMS, IndyCar Overall, Penske Entertainment. So this is just the merch that you see at the track. So the jerseys, die casts, and it's a cool article in Racer if you want to check it out, about what they count, towards these numbers. But were you surprised at all?
I know it probably maybe one person that was surprised that someone that no one knows could have so much merch sales. But I don't think that it was any surprise.
Who is Pato?
Yeah. Who is he?
Yeah.
No, you see these jerseys pretty much at every race that you go to. It's just orange or papaya. Papaya is everywhere. But I mean, when I look at this list, though, I was pretty surprised to see a couple of names on here where they are. I like looking down, like obviously Joseph Newgarden second. But then seeing all the way down here at the bottom, it looks like who do we have? Wait, is that Kyle Kirkwood in 10th?
Yeah, that's good. I actually am impressed by that. Good for Kyle.
Top 10 Kyle Kirkwood, dude.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. The pink and the white, it's good. I wasn't expecting to see his name there. He's making a name for himself. Him going fishing in the pond on multiple occasions is definitely...
Big boat guy.
Yeah, maybe a Bass Pro guy. Who knows? We're still
Alexander
trying
Rossi,
to get that.
Alexander Rossi's top 3, a fan favorite. Alex Rossi. I think, hey, the people respect Alex Rossi. Good for Alex out here, just wheeling merch out of there. So that's impressive. Although I will say, if you were supporting McLaren, they definitely have the coolest merch. I believe the coolness factor of their team is at the highest level, and they're most affiliated with Formula One. So to see 2 McLaren drivers in the top 3, really not surprising, because their third seat had about 10 different drivers in it. So obviously we're not going to see number 3 as the third McLaren driver in there. But cool. And honestly, Alex Palou as 7th, he's the champion.
A little surprising.
Interesting, but I hope we see more merch. Like I'll be honest with people sometimes, and this is where I'm going to be real with you all. I really try to listen to everyone when they say, hey, we need merch. We would love to support you. I'm like, I really appreciate that. And the shop has done an amazing job here in Indy, a local company. They make incredible merch, great shirts. I mean, they produced the Connor Daly cartoon tee with the U.S. Air Force was a huge one. But we don't move a ton of those. And again, I don't believe I'm a very I mean, look, I have a great fan base and I appreciate this, but I don't think very highly of myself that often. So I think that I sell a lot of merch, and I feel like I see a ton of great fans out there with a lot of merch and shirts. But the 24 shirt this year that we had, which was like after the Jim Clark font number 24, I really liked it. And I would just be curious as to what everyone else thinks when they see racing merch. I want to know what you guys think, what the fans think about what merch you would buy. Because really, I thought I saw a lot of shirts out there, but when I talked to the guys at the shop, it's like we sold less than 60 shirts. So it's really not. It's not a huge business that we have out there. And again, I only did the Indy 500 with that. So
and that was 2021, right?
No, that was this year. I'm talking the 24 shirt, the number 24.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the cartoon shop
no,
shirt.
the cartoon shirt. Yeah, the cartoon shirt did really well, and I was also full time, so that makes sense. But
I had a buddy of mine buy that shirt.
Yeah.
We went there before I knew you. He bought it, and that was the year when I was like, I'm gonna pull for that guy because he's got the mullet and he looks cool. That was before we even knew each other. That's what was wild about that. So I remember that shirt well.
Yeah, it was a great shirt, and I just want to hear from folks if you listen to this, see this, whatever. I know this is a major announcement show, but we got a couple things to talk about. I want to know what you want to buy. Like this year, I got a whole IndyCar season in front of me. We got some great excitement, some cool colors. The team, we're going to have multiple primary sponsors, and so you're going to see multiple different colored cars because that's how we have to sell it. But what do you want to see in merch? Because I planned on releasing a shirt with the announcement of this, but we haven't really been able to sell enough to justify, hey, we're going to launch a shirt and be able to kind of make the money back on it. So I'm very curious to just hear what people think they want to buy, and seeing these numbers is really cool from IndyCar. I'm glad that they're like, hey, these are the top 10. And before I got fired by ECR, I had actually moved into the tier 1 of merch, which means that at IMS, IndyCar tracks, I would actually have the most possible things available to buy. So I would hope that hopefully maybe we get back to that this year. It's all up to the fans, and we appreciate you guys. And if you want to buy it, awesome. If you don't, also awesome. We just appreciate you being at the track. Buy another driver's merch because that helps everyone. But the more this sport grows, the awareness is key, as we've talked so many times. And if more people are aware of their favorite driver, guy or girl, whoever it is, they're going to want to buy merch. So I'm just curious to see what people think. I'm curious.
I know I have my thoughts. I'll reserve them for now. I'm ready to hear everyone else's and see where some things align. So
yeah,
that'll
absolutely.
Be cool. Another good thing about that I was going to just bring up quickly was it looks like value is on the rise as well. Yeah. $50,000 market, if I'm not mistaken.
For the trading cards?
The trading cards for Parkside with IndyCar. It was one of the biggest hits of the year, and I read that on Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, great article.
Yeah, it says they basically struck gold with this new line. So always great to see, because this was their first set, I think, since 2014 that IndyCar has done. So, I mean, value got to kind of be here to stay. I get hit up on X all the time. People tag me about these cards constantly. Yeah. So I love to see that there is a lot of IndyCar fans and non-IndyCar fans collecting these cards. So that's huge.
Chase, I mean, you get it. The trading cards right now are huge. And a lot of people give me a ton of grief for when I talk about Pokemon cards. But let me tell you who's making money right now. Anyone selling Pokemon cards. So,
amen.
And I don't know if anyone listening to this show doesn't like money. I personally do. I think it's very important. I think that's kind of what makes your life go around. I mean, obviously there's love and happiness and peace and feelings and stuff like that. But realistically, the water bill has to be paid. And what pays that? Money. So it's something that, the trading card business in general, sports trading cards, Pokemon cards, it is massive. So I would say huge victory to Parkside, IndyCar. I love what they've done. They, with the success that I think we've seen this year, I believe that what we'll see in the future can only be better. Maybe slightly higher quality cards, maybe slightly more cards, maybe different variants of signatures, or not signatures in themselves, but different variants of those cards that we sign.
Yes.
I know I've already seen the special Indy 500 edition set of cards, which I think is super cool. So I think that if you're not into it, don't discount the positivity of it and how important it is. I think a lot of people are like, well, we need this, we need that. That's cool, but be sure to give praise to something that, from the numbers perspective, is actually quite successful. And that was up to IndyCar and Parkside, and I think they did a great job. And I'm excited to see what the future has to offer. I got some great trading cards myself. I got some special ones. I got a big Elio Castroneves one. I'm like, I want Elio to sign this because I think it's a cool memento. And it's something that, we sign as drivers more of those, I would say, at the racetrack than anything else these days, which is good. That means people want those things in their collections.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it best. We like money. If you like the hustle, you like the grind. It's basically just finding a way to make the stock market physical, but with carts.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. There's a whole third party market for this thing, which is wild. So, yeah, check it out. Go to a local shop. Ask them for Parkside. Parkside, I think, is doing IndyCar and women's soccer. So there is a
Yes.
lot of room for growth with that company, and I think they did a fantastic job on some of the packs that I ripped this year. Just personally myself, I know you ripped a good many as well.
Yeah.
Design is huge. I'm big on design, so I want to make sure that we get some cool photos, some fun photos. Maybe a Kirkwood at the lake. You
Yeah.
know,
A
maybe
lifestyle set.
that's
A
it. We need the
lifestyle set.
lifestyle set. Just put me in charge of the lifestyle set.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Um, so anyway, those are a couple news stories that I think were happening today, and realistically, we wanted to make sure this was a full episode after what we recorded this morning. Didn't quite have maybe everything. And, I'm not going to lie, today was an interesting one. The day before, technically, this is the day before the announcement. Obviously, we are timing this to go out at, as the announcement takes place live on a Wednesday, which will be December 18th. And there's a lot that have been happening, and I appreciate the Juncos Hollinger Racing team working with me. There's a lot in this business that I don't think people will ever know, honestly. But it's a tough game, and I'm excited to again have a chance to be out there. We are working. I mean, it is now 8:30 p.m. at night, and I have been thrashing most of today. I'm in another state than I was at the beginning of this show this morning. We have been back and forth on my contract kind of today on the final details. And, there's a lot of things that, someday we'll look back on and be like, I cannot believe we lived through these times. And, we're, as I've mentioned before, we're putting everything towards this. I have so much. I think I've spoken maybe a little bit too, not negative, but probably too honest. I saw an article that Nathan Brown put out not too long ago, and about our polka dot situation and kind of the first deal that we put up that was turned down, which kind of was always going to be turned down anyway, for a full Xfinity season. And I talked about that a little bit on the show if people listen to it. But that's not really meant to be a negative thing. Like, people turn down proposals of sponsorship like all the time. Like, this is not foreign. Like, I get turned down. You get 1,000 no's for every one yes in this game. And so I want to make people aware that I believe that we are going to have every bit of funding that we need. We have a lot in place already. Very lucky to have a lot in place already, because not a lot of drivers are able to do that. And it's just always something that, like, I guess I like to be too honest, because look, we're all still working. I mean, every team is selling sponsorship every day, because there's no limit to the amount of sponsorship you can sell. Like, we'll sell every inch of that car. So
All of it.
we have the seat, and I am going to fight till my last breath to defend it. And everyone is attacking this team for that seat. We hope that, we can defend it all year long and into the future. Although there are moments in this sport that make me, just question why I even got into it in the first place, because it's not what I thought it would be growing up as a kid. But, when we roll out in St. Petersburg, for practice, that, all of that will go away, because the pure enjoyment of driving is, fully restored as soon as you show up to compete against some of the best drivers in the world on an amazing television package that Fox is giving us. And, with a team that, is supportive and around you and, willing to do whatever it takes to win. So, it's been a wild, really last 3 months that, again, someday I'll explain, but here we are. We're going, we have a chance to compete and very excited for the chance to do so. And all positivity, all happiness, greatest Christmas present and birthday present of all time. And
happy late birthday.
It doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there. I mean, some people would question that, but we got there. We got across the finish line right now. So with that, I think it wouldn't be a show. I mentioned in the show, and Bobby, our producer, might have edited it out, which is okay because this has been a crazy day. But let's do a Ricky Treadway, random Indy 500 driver of the week to go into the Christmas season, because why not? It wouldn't be our show without a Ricky Treadway, random Indy 500 driver of the week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run off.
Let's meet the drivers. Who will make up the field?
This week, I asked Chase for a year. I said, Chase, give me a year. Chase, what year did you say?
I said 1916. That was
Boom,
literally the first
old.
year popped in my brain.
We're going old. So 1916. You know what the qualifying speed was? 94.4 miles an hour.
Oh, that's a lightning bolt right there.
Absolute bangers. Dario Resta won the race. So shout out Dario. We know another Dario. He was on our show.
Great guy.
I, however, went with a guy who, this guy sounds like a baseball player. I know that before the show, Chase, we were talking a little bit about baseball, but the sixth place finisher in this race was Pete Henderson. Tell me that doesn't sound like just a baseball player. Pete Henderson might have had a stint at the Cubs, just, couple double plays, couple home runs, whatever he's doing. I'm not a big baseball guy. Obviously, we talked about Juan Soto's contract. Shout out baseball. Respect the game.
Yeah.
But does that not sound like a baseball?
That is, yeah. I feel like they probably called him like pointed out Pete. Like he would do like Babe Ruth stuff. He'd point where he was going to hit it. He'd get out there.
Yeah.
I'm probably missing another great P word in baseball.
Yeah.
I played it my whole life, so it would definitely be a total me thing to drop the ball on finding P words that are in baseball.
Exactly.
But
That's all right.
Henderson's the name. I mean, that's definitely here. He got in a car this time though.
So he does have a Wikipedia, and it's very small because he was born in 1895. George Brooks Pete Henderson was a Canadian. So shout out James Hinchcliffe, Robert Wickens, a lot of great Canadians, Greg Moore, incredible Canadian racing drivers. Maybe Pete, maybe James Hinchcliffe looked up to Pete Henderson. I'm not sure. I don't know that.
Possible.
Pete Henderson, Canadian. Began his racing career in 1915 at the Des Moines Speedway. So he came all the way to Iowa, all right, as a driver and mechanic for the Duesenberg team. So this is a fascinating, this is a fascinating one again, because I love finding these types of stats. 1916 Indy 500. So he started 9th and finished 6th. Solid day. And he didn't do another Indy 500 till 1920, where he started 17th and finished 10th. So really solid career, 2 top 10s at the Indy 500. But that's it. That's all we have for him. So all I've got is two Indy 500s for Pete Henderson and 2 solid results for old Pete.
You gotta love him. He was always moving forward.
Yeah. Biggest mover of the 1920s, the 1918s, 1916-20 era.
Yeah, man.
So shout out Pete Henderson. And now, I'll wrap this show up because it's been a bit disjointed of an episode, but we appreciate you guys tuning in. A little bit shorter one. We'll be able to take next week off for Christmas and come back the week after. But we want to thank you guys for listening. We want to thank you guys for being a part of this community, the Speed Street listenership and viewers on the YouTubes. We appreciate you giving the Simon Pagenaud interview a lot of love, because I think that was just an interview that deserved to be listened to.
Amazing.
And we're going racing next year for the Juncos Hollinger racing team. So, we'll finally get that out there. Hopefully nothing changes by the time, we release this. And if it does, boy, would that be hilarious. So all is well. And, we'll see you after Christmas on Speed Street. So enjoy your time with family, friends, whatever you do for Christmas. And Chase, thank you very much. So we'll see you next time on Speed Street. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.